In a beautiful and mystical land, there was a legend passed down from generation to generation. It told a story of how a monster terrorized a family and wanted to take away their daughter. But the little girl managed to run away using 3 magical spells. As she threw the last one at the monster, mud appeared and swallowed it up in its swirling pools. The little girl returned safely to her family, and all was well again in this land. But was it? Is this just a local bedtime story? Or has the monster returned to punish the people for its demise? For those locals who are mystically inclined, as they survey the landscape around them, it would seem that fiction has become a frightening fact. As the monster returns to take its revenge. It is the most populous Muslim country in the world, Indonesia. From the tsunami to earthquakes and volcanic eruptions, it is no stranger to disasters, both natural and man-made. Yet nothing had quite prepared the residents in East Java for this. It was not something that anyone would want to find at their doorstep on any given day. Mud everywhere. In the heart of a residential district in Sidoarjo, families had to move out in droves as this lava-like mud kept flowing into their homes, streets and backyards, with no end in sight. The mud brought with it a stinking smell of rotten eggs and sulfur. The residents had no choice but to leave. Not only was the mud taking over their living space, but the water in their wells had become contaminated. The situation was dire. The panic-stricken residents had never seen such a phenomenon before. A stone's throw away, they could see the source of their problem. A hole in the ground out of which hot mud is still spewing out furiously and ferociously today. Was this yet another natural disaster which would soon pass, just like the tsunami? Five months ago, Haji Maksum ran a big boarding school for 142 children in the district. It had separate buildings for boys and girls. Built in 1967, the school had 27 classrooms and a library that had thousands of books. They're still there, except that everything is now under this new surface of mud. Haji Maksum never imagined that the first trickle of mud which appeared at his doorstep in June would have led to this.
Berlanjut, situasi Jatirejo semakin hari semakin tenggelam. Kalau pada awalnya hanya sebatas lutut orang dewasa, tapi lambat laun tapi pasti Jatirejo semakin dilahap oleh lumpur. banyak bangunan-bangunan rumah yang sudah habis, musola-musola tempat ibadah sudah rata dengan tanah, bahkan masjid-masjid serta lokasi-lokasi pendidikan semuanya sekarang ini sudah rata dihabisi oleh lumpur. Lihat bagaimana desa kami menjadi telaga angker. Bahkan binatang malam pun enggan untuk bernyanyi di sini.
Haji Maksum had to move all his students to this new place, which is barely enough to house all 142 of them. Their school routine has been badly disrupted. As much as Haji Maksum tries to run the school again, it's just not the same as before.
Warga tidak menemukan kenyamanan, ketentraman, serta saat-saat mereka bersenda gurau seperti halnya di kampung halaman mereka. Sehingga banyak warga yang mengalami depresi, anak-anak mengalami depresi, menyendiri, sehingga terlihat agak lebih kurus dari biasanya karena faktor utamanya setelah mereka kangen pada kampung halaman, anak-anak banyak yang kurang berselera dalam hal makan.
Haji Maksum's school was just 1 kilometer away from the source of the mud flow. It has not stopped flowing since that fateful day on May the 27th. The mud rose right up to the tip of this lamppost. The boys were standing on sand dikes that had been specially built to stop the mud from spreading into the next street. But if the dikes had collapsed, this other street and the village it served would be the next to go. Already, 8 villages with more than 1,000 houses have been submerged and destroyed. More than 13,000 people have had to abandon their homes, mosques and schools. Even though the mud is being redirected away from the villages, it's already too late for many of them because the homes are no longer habitable. As the days lapse into months, the economic and social impact of the mud flow is looming larger than ever. Sidoarjo is a bustling agricultural, commercial and residential district. Like many parts of Indonesia, the land is rich in natural resources like oil and gas. It is also fertile and well served by the Purong River. People make a living on the paddy fields and shrimp farms or are engaged in other commercial activities. What used to be rows and rows of houses and paddy fields has now become this frightening inland sea of mud. In a matter of just 5 months, a puddle of mud has grown relentlessly into a pool, then a lake, and now a mud volcano. And the mud doesn't look like it is going to stop flowing. Some geologists have estimated that the mud flow is likely to continue for the next 30, if not 100 years. Every day, the Earth is throwing out 125,000 cubic meters of mud, of which 60 to 70% is water. It's enough to cover a football field with mud up to a depth of 17 meters or 56 feet. As of today, the total damage caused by the mud flow is estimated to be $2 billion US. This includes loss of economic and social infrastructure, as well as corporate and private incomes and commercial activities. Mud volcanoes are not an unnatural occurrence. There are more than 1,100 of them in different parts of the world. However, this one at Sido Arjo has earned the dubious honor of being the world's first and largest mud volcano formed in the middle of a densely populated region, and one which may have been caused unnaturally. Many residents are distraught by what has happened, not only because they have lost their property, but also because they have lost their livelihoods. All that they have worked for is now gone. It pains many of them to see how their land has turned from a fertile land yielding good crops to this hardened surface of grey. Yono is one of the many landowners in the district.
Nah, ini luas lahan saya, ini dari sini sampai ke masjid itu kelihatan hanya tinggal kubahnya itu. Itu batas-batas daripada lahan sawah kita sampai ke ngarah ke timur, itu mengarah ke daerah itu dekat bambu-bambu ke selatan sampai tower ini kurang lebih 28 hektar. Itu yang akibat kena luapan lumpur dari pihak Lapindo. Lah saya mohon dari Lapindo bisa memikirkan walaupun sudah mengganti rugi, lahan-lahan yang kita pakai itu saya kira masih kurang. Soalnya kita sudah tidak punya aset lagi, tidak bisa menanam tebu lagi, kaum buruh tidak bisa bekerja, tidak dapat penghasilan. Kesejahteraan dari Lapindo sampai sekarang itu belum ada. Jangankan kesejahteraan, kesehatan saja itu belum sampai menyangkut ke warga. Masalah kesehatan itu dampak dari bau lumpur itu pun mengenai dada itu maupun paru-paru itu sangat sesak sekali. Penyemaran, belum penyemaran pada air sumur dan sebagainya, tidak bisa buat mandi, gatal.
Yono had moved his furniture and valuables out of his house to prepare for the inevitable.
Nah, inilah keadaan rumah kita. Sekarang sudah tidak ada barang sama sekali. Meja kursi pun tidak ada. Sudah kita pindahkan semua. Gitu loh. Jadi ya tinggal hanya tikar aja untuk tempat tidur sementara. Tempat tidur sudah tidak ada semua, kita pindahkan yang barang-barang kita anu semua. Jadi kita hanya tinggal tikar. Nah, ini posisi rumah kita sudah, tempat tidur sudah tidak ada semua.
These paddy fields had no chance of survival because the nearby rivers that had irrigated the land have completely dried up. This land used to look like this. A typical paddy field in Indonesia. People used to look forward to harvest time. But there's nothing for the residents of Sidoarjo to look forward to now. The land and vegetation has become completely destroyed by the mud, and it's not clear whether the fertility of the soil will ever return or be restored.
Jadi ibaratnya itu warga sekarang itu minta perlindungan kepada siapa? Jadi nggak tahu kita, Mas. Kemkap juga gitu, sama sekali nggak, katakan nggak nyentuh lah gitulah.
Sepertinya nggak mau tahu.
Nggak mau tahu tentang keluhan warga-warga yang sekarang dikeluhkan itu, terutama tentang air bersih, Mas. Itu paling dominan air bersih, paling yang dikeluhkan warga itu pertama. Ya, yang kedua, Mas, masalah bau, masalah dampak dari bau itu. Kalau malam sangat menusuk paru-paru itu, Mas. Bau dari asap itu. Tuh, apa? Kan nggak sama sekali nggak diberitahu bahaya tentang bau itu apa enggak. Kita tetap aja menghirup terus gitu. Itu yang pertama, yang kedua itu. Terus yang ketiga juga masalah pekerjaan. Gitu loh. Nah, sekarang kan semua daerah persawahan sini, desa baik Pejarakan, Mindi atau Besuki sama sekali sudah hilang persawahan itu, sudah nggak ada sama sekali.
The focus of their anger and the subject of their daily conversation is a well-known oil well company called Lapindo Berontas. The company has been drilling for oil and gas in Indonesia for 17 years and has been successful in 15 oil wells in the past. At the time of filming, the CEO was unable to comment on the accident because he is under investigation about the mud flow incident. So just what exactly happened? By all accounts, it was an accident, even from Lapindo's reports. According to them, they had been drilling at Purong East since March the 8th, 2006 for oil and gas. On May the 29th, the drilling hit a depth of 9,297 feet. Geologists believed that Lapindo's drilling efforts had penetrated into the liquid sediment beneath the earth and created a pathway for the mud to spew out onto the surface.
We saw some mud coming out of the paddy fields about 150 to 200 meters away from the wellbore. And prior to the mud extrusion, we had some problems in the well, which is we think that we have found the carbonates, and where we experience a loss situation, and then we overcome the problems. And then at that time we decided to pull out of hole, to cement the bottom hole and try to run casing. But then on the way up, when we pulled the strings, the problems started. We experienced a kick, and that kick then was followed by a stuck of the pipes. And then that was on a Sunday. And on a Monday morning, we saw this mud extrusion.
Lapindo suggested that the earthquake on May the 27th in nearby Yogyakarta could have contributed to the disaster because of the cracks created underground. But this proposition didn't sit well with the majority. Bambang Istiari is a geologist who has been working at Lapindo Berantas for the last 2 years. This is the first time he had encountered such a severe problem. Since the accident, he and his colleagues have been monitoring the situation closely, and clearly, it has gone from bad to worse. In response to the disaster, the government formed a special contingent called Team National to handle the problem with Lapindo. More than 1,400 men from the army were deployed, equipped with heavy machinery to tackle the mud flow. Using trucks to carry the mud away didn't work, so huge pipes were installed to control the water level by pumping it out. But that didn't work either, because they couldn't do the job quickly enough. This 20-kilometer pipeline was laid along the villages to channel the mud water into the sea. But it too soon became a white elephant. Building the sand dikes seemed to be the only solution for containing the mud and preventing it from spreading to the other parts of the district. The lowest dike is 4 meters and the highest is 15 meters. And thus far, they have managed to redirect the mud away from the highway and the railway, the two top priorities in this damage control exercise. But this is only a temporary measure. In an attempt to come up with a permanent solution, Lapindo built this relief well. It is situated about 500 meters from the original mud well bore. The officials had hoped that by pouring cement into the mud reservoir, they could stop the mud from flowing out. But despite going to the trouble of building the relief well, Lapindo officials were not confident that it would work.
Because a lot of geologists think, including myself, being a geologist, that this is a mud extrusion, and it will be very, very hard to stop. So we have conveyed these difficulties to the Team National, and so the most important right now is to assess the geohazard potential, the areas that will subside, or the communities that may be affected by the mud, and then to manage the excess water and perhaps the slurries.
The last resort is one that has caused much anger and grievance amongst environmentalists. These men are laying the pipes that would redirect the mud into the lifeline of Sidoarjo, the Purong River. The Purong River is 50 meters wide and 4 meters deep. The authorities say that it is big enough to accommodate the volume of mud being extruded, but it has angered many environmentalists.
Padahal kondisi normal, Kali Porong ini sebagai sumber penghidupan bagi masyarakat yang ada di sekitar Kali Porong. Jadi untuk kegiatan sehari-hari mereka mencuci juga di sini, terus kemudian mereka mengairi sawahnya juga dari Kali Porong, mengairi tambak juga dari Kali Porong gitu kan. Kalau kita lihat sebenarnya ketika Lapindo membuang lumpur ke Kali Porong bukan hanya merusak ekologi dari Kali Porong sendiri gitu kan, tetapi dampak sosial yang muncul.
mud flow has created a domino effect of destruction along its way. Not only is it hot at about 60 degrees Celsius, but it is also high in salinity, phenol and sulfur content. It has blocked off the water flow from the Purong River to its auxiliaries. Slowly and surely, the affected land dries up, and all that is on it dies a slow death with little hope of rejuvenation.
Terus kemudian ketika kita melihat zona di bawah permukaan tanah, ada kesuburan tanah, ada air tanah, ketika itu tercemar, apakah itu juga dihitung oleh Lapindo? Ada biota-biota, ada vegetasi, ada hewan yang juga ikut menyuburkan tanah. Ketika lumpur ini ada, maka itu semua hilang.
What angers the residents, business people and environmentalists is that $130 million have already gone into the salvage efforts, and yet they have done little to stop the mud extrusion.
Kalau memang udah mentok, timnas sudah mentok, nggak bisa ngatasi masalah itu, ya warga sini mau kepastian itu loh, kepastian. Arti kepastian udah, kalau memang nggak bisa diselamatkan, kamu saya beli, warga rumah gini seperti ini saya beli ini, ada penawaran dari Lapindo gitu loh.
Lapindo said that it would indemnify the residents for their losses and set aside a sum of $150 million. As a start, they told the residents that each home would receive $55 as moving house money and $75 for 2 years as part of the rental fee for their new dwelling. They also installed these water tanks in the village to supply clean water, but they have brought little cheer to the residents. While the paperwork has been completed for compensating the villagers, only some have received the money. The main concern that Lapindo has about compensating the villagers is over their claim on land ownership. As each day passes by with little news of compensation, the residents' concerns grow deeper, especially when there is speculation that Lapindo might declare bankruptcy, as the total compensation and cleanup costs have been estimated at $1 billion.
Udah meluncur belum? Udah meluncur? Belum? Oh ya udah, ya udah. Enggak, di mana? Di sini aja. Gua selesai terus gua di ruangan gua.
Yusuf Martuk is the vice president of EMP, which is the holding company of Lapindo. He has been negotiating with the villagers on the compensation issue. According to him, Lapindo had offered to build a new village for the victims, but they had opted for cash compensation instead. They eventually reached an agreement where Lapindo would pay $100 per square meter of land and $20 per square meter of paddy field. However, Lapindo made it clear that the compensation was intended for the landowners and not those who rented it.
Pergantian itu nanti akan terrealisasi dengan beberapa tahapan. Tahapan awal adalah verifikasi pendataan, surat menyurat semua keabsahan, karena adanya unsur-unsur yang sudah mengajukan, ada pihak keluarga atau warga yang mengajukan sedangkan dia itu hanya tadinya numpang di rumah tersebut, atau ada yang hanya sifatnya kontrak, mereka mau minta ganti rumah. Nah, itu yang harus kita hindari. Jadi kami perlu keabsahan data untuk bisa melakukan akte jual beli. Cakupan wilayah yang kita sepakati itu adalah 4 desa sesuai dengan peta yang sudah kami berikan dan kami diskusikan dan ditandatangani oleh timnas sendiri.
It's been a long wait, but finally Haryono has received his share of the compensation. But like many of his peers, he feels that it is not enough.
Jadi kita ini kalau dana ganti rugi atau dibeli itu belum sama sekali. Namun kalau dari ganti rugi plus sewa tanah sudah. Masalah untuk dana kompensasi kepada masyarakat perjarakan pun Wabub janji masalah untuk transportasi pindah itu belum ada, kesehatan dan air pam yang dimasukkan ke penjara kan sampai sekarang belum ada sama sekali itu.
In the meantime, there is little the affected residents can do except to visit the site and curse at those who they feel have caused their misery and loss. From the day of the drilling accident on May the 29th, right through to November the 21st, the site of the mud flow had become a local attraction. It was not until November the 22nd that the situation took a turn for the worse. Our crew was filming on this dike on the highway at the 39th kilometre mark. Like many onlookers, the almost tranquil setting around the mud volcano didn't exude any ominous sense of foreboding. But unknown to us, we were all just 2 hours from danger and quite possibly death. Barely 1 kilometre from where we had been standing, an explosion with flames that reached 500 metres into the sky could be seen from as far as 50 kilometres away. This picture was caught on amateur video. The explosion was caused by the pressure exerted by the mud on gas pipes laid underground. The accident grabbed front-page headlines in international newspapers, but these valiant rescue efforts on the night itself were seen only on local television. This man was one of those working on the dikes 24/7, and he was lucky his colleagues found him. The supervisor and 2 other workers didn't make it. The next day, scarcely 16 hours after the explosion, this bulldozer operator sounded an alarm to his supervisor. He was still working near the accident site, pouring sand onto the ground to fortify the dike, when he suddenly felt something badly amiss.
Maksud saya kan peninggian tanggul untuk menyelamatkan yang di depan itu aja gitu. Ekuasi itu lah. Ada penurunan tanggul sedikit ya Pak, kira-kira 30, tiba-tiba menurun tanah itu Pak. Sempat saya menyelamatkan alat, ya sama saya juga saya selamatkan gitu Pak.
Di mana Pak?
Ya di sana itu Pak. Iya.
Kuning-kuning itu?
Iya pas kuning-kuning titik 38 Pak. Iya 3840 lah Pak.
Bapak merasa nggak bahwa ini bisa diatasi lumpur ini?
Lah kalau bisa ya nggak bisa memutuskan Pak.
Amongst the biggest fears is the uncertainty of how far, deep and wide the damage caused by the mud will spread. The precious and all-important highway that linked Sidoarjo to the next town is now completely useless after the gas explosion. The relief well project has also had to be abandoned because the ground has become too unstable. Less than a month after the explosion, these villagers who live at Tungu Lungin estate had their worst fears confirmed. Until the explosion, they had been spared the onslaught of the mud flow because of the dikes. But the accident destroyed the protective boundaries, and mud and water began to seep into their homes and neighborhoods. The mood in the village is one of indescribable pain and sadness as they pack their belongings and leave their homes.
Sini semuanya 2 RT, RT 13, 14, total 146 salah keluarga. Kalau air minum ya kesulitan Pak, kalau ya itu yang membutuhkan itu agak sulit. Kalau yang usahakan ya masih sulit Pak. Kemarin lamanya 3 minggu ini Pak, kalau airnya bersih itu tidak lancar. Nggak ada bantuan dari Lapindo, kalau pengurusnya sudah lambat. Mulai kemarin ya saya ini sudah siap dapat Pak, tapi kalau pengurusnya itu sudah lambat. Nah, saya kesulitan air bersih itu sudah 1 bulan, kalau nggak salah.
Kacang lebaran.
Ya susah, nggak serumah sama orang tua, terus ya tetangga-tetangga nggak bisa kumpul, hati ya bagaimana ya sangat hati saya itu saya besar-besarkan, seandainya malam gitu ya menangis lah. Ya bisa masuk ke sini, jadi sekarang ya siap-siap ya punyanya ini. Kalau nggak diselamatkan bagaimana bisa membeli lagi. Ya karena satu saya itu kan jadi kepala rumah tangga itu saya, terus kerjanya bagaimana saya ini dulu itu mendekati perumahan itu dekat perumahan itu senang bisa jualan apa saja, sekarang lu nggak bisa kerja. Jadi apa yang saya pikirkan saya ini makan lewat dari mana gitu. Terus saya masih membiayai anak sekolah, terus ya diikuti orang tua. Ada berapa anak yang? Anak 1, orang tua jadi 3, hanya kerja sendirian. Nggak susah. Ya saya harapkan ya mudah-mudahan cepat dibayar. Kalau nggak dibayar saya ini bagaimana, kan jadi orang terlantar sih saya ini. Terus berteduh di mana kalau tidak dibayar? Ya udah, tapi kan belum jelas sih kapan dibayar, kan tidak tahu.
Her sense of displacement and loss is understandable. It is particularly acute amongst the elderly and sick. We followed them to a holding area, which is a new and unused market. It is provided for by the government. At present, There are 3,000 families here. Ronnie and his family have been here since Christmas Eve. Like all the others, he is hoping against hope that Lupindo will compensate him for the loss of his livelihood.
Ya sedih ya kita itu ya juga. Sudah pikiran nggak bisa dibilang enak ya nggak bisa, dibilang susah ya memang susah Pak gitu Pak. Di sini tuh kita juga nggak bisa bebas. Apalagi kita di sini sarana-sarananya itu ya dibilang itu kurang memenuhi syarat itu ya bisa kita lihat sendiri Pak gitu. Terutama makannya juga itu kurang diperhatikan Pak. Untuk makan itu kadang-kadang nasi ada yang basi, ada yang belum mateng sudah dibagikan, ada daging yang juga itu masih mentah sudah dibagikan. Kalau memang dari Lapindo mau memberikan uang ya untuk pengganti makannya itu kita lebih enak. Jadi kita nggak ini masalah makan biar kita usaha sendiri, masak juga bisa di sini. Ini loh, apa layak ini seperti ini loh, layak pemerintah memberikan kita tuh makanan seperti gini Pak. Lihat ini tahu sama peyek aja ini loh. Ini katanya dari Lapindo harga 4.000. Tapi ternyata makanannya itu tahu Pak sama peyek ini. Apa layak manusia dikasih gini Pak? Coba sampai lihat ini. Ini biar dilihat orang presiden apa semua pejabat-pejabat yang mau membantu kita. Biar dilihat Pak.
The amount of compensation is estimated to be $250 million. But just how and when this will be dispersed to those affected has yet to be seen. It has now become a waiting game for the villagers. The Indonesians, tried and tested by the numerous disasters that they've had to deal with in the past few years, must be amongst the most resilient people in the world. In between waiting for nature to have mercy and the respective authorities to show compassion, some of the villagers have refused to be daunted by their plight. We caught this man in the middle of an intriguing and ingenious enterprise. Beneath this lake of mud are factories that have been buried almost intact with the products they were producing, including shoes, furniture, mineral water, and vodka. It appears that this much coveted loot is unopened bottles of vodka, mineral water, and other carbonated drinks. Filled or empty, these present very attractive commercial opportunities for these men. They scavenge for the bottles in the muddy water and then sell them for 10 cents each. Is there any light at the end of this seemingly endless tunnel of incessant mud flow? Well, there might just be. These are bricks made from the mud itself. By this man, an army engineer who has been commissioned to look into potential uses of the mud.
Menurut saya ini kualitasnya itu bagus nih Pak. Bagus ini. Nah, kalau dibanding batu biasa ini ya saya kira bagus seperti ini Pak. Bagus ini. Jadi mudah merah. Ya, karena istilahnya lumpur ini mengandung garam mana.
We took the brick to the Institute Technology of Surabaya, where Professor Triwu Lan is researching into the possible benefits and uses of the mud.
ITS telah mengadakan seminar nasional pada bulan Oktober kemarin. Dari hasil seminar nasional itu memang menunjukkan bahwa lumpur itu sangat baik dipakai untuk bahan keramik. Itu dari hasil penelitian laboratorium keramik di Bandung. Namun demikian, ITS juga mengadakan beberapa penelitian, antara lain dipakai untuk batu bata mentah, yaitu dicetak, dicampur dengan kapur maupun semen. Namun hasilnya tidak sebagus seperti batu bata yang umumnya. Namun kalau untuk batu bata yang dibakar, hasilnya cukup bagus dan dengan pembuatan yang presisi yang bagus akan menghasilkan, kelihatannya rupanya akan lebih bagus daripada batu bata merah.
And this is the prototype of a house that is made from the grey bricks. But such official efforts to salvage the situation are of little use to those who have lost their homes.
Belum ada kompensasi. Yang pasti masih belum ada kepastian ini di sini. Kita terluntar-luntar di sini. Anak-anak sekolah juga terlantar. Apalagi sekolah-sekolah sudah juga terendam. Harusnya pemerintah setempat itu harusnya memberikan fasilitas lah. Sakit Pak di sini Pak, bener Pak. Sampai lihat anak kecil tiap hari itu jeritan anak kecil aja yang nangis. Setiap malam, apalagi anak kecil seperti anak saya gini, itu perlu untuk jajan apa. Kalau kita nggak punya uang, penghasilan nggak ada Pak. Kita nggak punya apa-apa sudah di sini dah.
In just 1 year alone, the Indonesians have had to deal with a major earthquake in Yogyakarta, the Adam air crash, and the ferry accident, to name just a few incidents. It's almost as if earth, sky, and water have turned against them together. While the mud flow at Sidoarjo didn't take away as many lives, it poses a most uncertain future for the residents. Because while it is human error that unleashed the wrath of nature, this is Mother Earth at her most unpredictable and unstoppable.